What's the matter, you? Hey, what do you gotta say? Hey! Hello! Oh, hey, you. We got Groove sitting with us today. Groove. Klaus is somewhere off in the distance. Thank you for joining me today. Yes. Welcome to Dropping These Pearls. If you'd like to support the channel, PayPal is evenmonalisa@gmail.com. If you are part of the family, are ya? We've got what's called the cookie jar. When you get in trouble, as soon as I monetize, that will go into effect. So that is it for the future. Okay? If you're new to the channel, it's an interactive channel, as you can see from all this awesome space stuff around me. I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I want to teach you something. I'm going to smack you around a little bit. Smack you sensible, perhaps. Perhaps. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm doing. All right. Guess what time it is? Guess. It's time for the news to use. It's time for the news to use. Just when you think you got one figured out, it's time for the news. What the hell are you looking at me? Groove is giving me the groove vibe, man. He giving me that stink eye, giving me the side eye fizzle. First off, the DNC, dear God, dear sweet fancy Moses and all them roses. What are them shits? I don't understand, okay? I'm going to give you the news, but I'm going to give you it all right now, but we're going to discuss that for sure. For sure. What did I say? Let me just, I got to bust into it right now. I can't even wait. Yes, I can. Stop it. All right, I will. All right. Today, in the world today, as my son would say when he was 2, he'd open up, we'd be like, read to your sister, and they're like 2 years apart, so he's like, gets a book, and he's like, so this is what's going on in the world today. I'm like, that's right, Chama. You read to your sister, you educate that woman. She is new to this world, she knows nothing. But me womb. Alright, so today we're going to do the medical terminology is synapse. Synapse, y'all. That in itself is the whole term. Like, no root word, prefix, suffix, none of that jazz. This is one thing. It's the space between the end of one noive and the beginning of another noive. Through noive impulses are transmitted. So the space between the end of one nerve and the beginning of another through nerve impulses transmitted are the synapse. Okay? And that's our medical terminology. And since I did that as our medical terminology, the space between the wicked lies, so I thought our song today, instead of, our song today, got ahead of myself, is The Space Between by Dave Matthews in 2012. Do you remember, dude? I cannot think of Dave Matthews Band to this day, and these are not my bras, by the way. Look at those shoulders. Look at those man's shoulders. That's why I couldn't get a prom dress with my friends that had man's shoulders. They told me at the Winner. That was the name of the building. It's the Winner. And if the Winner tells you, honey, you got real big shoulders like man's shoulders, none of our dresses will fit you. Go to the 4th door. Go upstairs to the 4th floor, sweetheart. All right. So if they tell you got big ass shoulders, and accept them shits. I gotta stop swearing. Even if they're little swears. At least I'm not dropping the F-bombs like I'm like, poo, poo, poo. You know I can do it. We all know I can do it. I'll tell you what, when I watched the stuff from like a month and a half ago, which is not that long, Wow. Wow. Like my face is different. My face is different. This eye's not going, you know what I mean? And I'm not swearing consistently. The space between the wicked lies. I love that song. But what I was going to say, even when I think about it, I start laughing. All right. Do you remember when Dave Matthews, they were on tour and they went over a bridge and someone thought it'd be sweet to go empty out the toilets? Like, all the tour, the tour bus tanks of crap, like, emptied out, like, over a bridge onto, like, people are like, oh, look, mommy, the sun is shining so brightly. And they're like, heads up, here comes a bunch of poo. Dave Matthews decided to drop a bunch of poo on boats. Well, anyway, I think one of them really was like a twerk. Don't quote me. I'm not even looking up those deets. Do you love the background? The space between the wicked lies. The space between... Okay, I'm going to read you the words of a little bit of the space between. The space between the tears we cry. The space between the wicked lies. We tell and hope to keep safe from the pain. We're strange allies. I love that. The space between the wicked lies. Anyway, ASL, we will do thank you. So our sign today is thank you. So it's really not the going in so much as the going out. So it's really important that it starts from your chin and goes out open hand. Like, give me some money, honey. Mama got a broken dryer. Man, I'll tell you what. I just paid off the car place. Again, this month. So, I am scared. My car is working now almost a week. What are we going to do about that? What's going to break next? We're going to have to start like a poll of some sort. What's going to break next on my car? It's a PT Cruiser. Just worst gas mileage known to man. It's like 14 miles to the gallon. Are you kidding? I drive stick. That's like an economy car. Like, what? Anyway. Oh, shite. I got this sweet orange sequins dress. So get excited, you hear? I'm not going to wear it. Although I should. She make everybody jealous. So she won't. But I will bring it next time, you hear? And that I am not letting go for just anything. This dress I'm going to show you. I bought in Lakewood, Ohio, which is the gayest place in the land. And they have taste, you hear? And this was like a retro store. There's a couple of those in Cleveland, around like places, just fun, neat stores that have just a bunch of old stuff in it that you're like, who saved that? But it has authentic. So this dress was, they wanted like 120, some nonsense like that. I talked about 30 bones. And this was like 2007. So it's an authentic, heavy little mini dress. And it's heavy. It's probably like as heavy as a pair of boots, which is crazy. Because normally you could take a dress like that and just toss it. Not this dress. It's hand sewn. It's really good. So, orange. And for skin today, I did bring out a chamois to show you. But the chamois be hammy because he just got up and left. I swear to you. Actually, I put up this backdrop and it's super large. And I was like, oh. And then I was like listening like all these deets at the same time about Jon Benet. And I was like, Jon Benet. And then I was like, deets. And then I lost my chamois. It got lost in the hustle, honey. I had it on a table, and now it's disappeared. The wicked lies. Doggone it. All right. Oh, and my TV show recommendation instead of a movie today is VEEP. V-E-E-P. VEEP. And that makes fun of the government. All right. So, here's the deal, McNeil. Yeah. First of all, 17 million on security, right? Isn't that what we learned yesterday? 17 million! I have no dryer, ma'am. 17 million? What is wrong? Man. Alright, here's your news. Crazy, crazy Chicago news. Midwest news. Alright. So around like the afternoon. Today is Tuesday, I'm guessing the 20th. I don't know. August 2024. So it says it's a second. First of all, it's a second. Okay, it is a second day. By the time I get used to this, I'm going to get it replaced. I'm going to be talking crazy all over again. It's going to take me forever to learn how to talk. So about nooner, in between all my deets of the old gentleman, then I was like, let's see what's cooking up in the old Chicago's. And guess what? It was a bunch of crap. Anyway, so what I'm saying is it was crap. I'm just going to run down these deets because seriously, I cannot even try to time frame it because it really doesn't matter, okay? Because none of it matters. All right, so last night, the first, all right, first I see Clinton go up there. Hillary, not her husband who was actually president, but Hillary, okay? I see Hillary go up there, and everybody's like, gosh darn it, we wish you were the one. Why ain't you up there, girl? We all know it was you. We all know that doggone Trump done did what he did. They filled up all those boobies and boobies. Why did he was like, I just grabbed him by the bloop. Anyway. Next president. Every time I think about it, I'm like, was I in the Twilight Zone? Am I still in the Twilight Zone? Because this man is now a felon from our own country, and we're still... Somebody knocked me out. Honestly, I think okay, it's back. This only happens... Oh, my gosh. First of all, Hillary Clinton's up there. They cheered legit, for a lifetime. I thought the girl was going to have to sit down, okay, because everybody was acting like their mama's up there. Anyway, so everybody was like, Mom. She was like, okay, yeah, whatever, everybody, because you jerks could have made this happen a long time ago, but nobody did. So, anyway, she told, really nice speech, but the thing, I'm still crying from laughing. The thing is, she didn't really say anything good about Kamala. She just said it about the party. So it seems pretty obvious to me she's not, really supporting Kamala. She's supporting the party. And then, not Part B, party. And then, we got good old Biden up there. Somebody wheeled his... No, they didn't wheel him. I think there was, an AI situation. Anyway, he said, America, America, I gave my best to you. Ah, America, America. Thanks, Biden. Actually, he has given a lot to the United States, whether you realize it or not. I mean, he was in politics like a bigwig way back in the day when his wife got into a car accident and died. with the 2 kids in the car. And then he married the babysitter who looks just like his wife. Okay, anyway. So, using news crews as shields. So the police said, please news crews, use news crews, please. If we say back up, you gotta listen because these protesters are gonna use you as a shield. Is that what you want? I don't think that's what you want. And the news crews were like, okay. This light's hurting the eyes. I might have to change it, yo. Alright, I'm gonna let you inside a little something. Ooh, cool. Okay, wait. Is this what it was on? Oh! I kind of like doing that. Alright, I gotta lower it. You're killing me! Anyway. I went back to the same damn thing. Alright. So anyway, the news crews had to be told to please stop getting in between us, the police, and the protesters, because you will be used as shields. Is it really that important to get the piece? The scoop? Is it really? Because it seems kind of dumb since there's like drones, cell phones, CCTV. I don't know. What do I know? I'm sitting on the couch talking to. All right. It turns out the bicycle wall's not working out. The bike wall of bicycles. Did you see it? Did you see it? I think I put it on my community thing. Like, check it out. And then I did put up the video of the guy who's like stood up. I think it's I've got nothing. I can't. If you can figure it out what that is, like a big black person, and they were like, my name's A apostrophe. And I was like, okay, what are you gonna say? I don't use pronouns, they or them. Okay, well, yeah, okay, well, can you just... Anyway, I put that on there, and I put about that young man who was a vet. He's like, everybody's burning the flags, what the heck? So I put that on there, and then today I put some people wearing cheese on their head. Yeah, like they're at a game. If I'm not mistaken, in a different state. Yeah, so I put that on there too. That's lots of fun because everybody was there from all the states. And then I got to hear that Ohio has a woman that's throwing in her vote plus 142 more for Kamala Harris. I don't want to go to the grocery store anymore. Do you understand me? If I walk into that line, it's some dude standing next to me flipping his lid about Kamala Harris again. I swear to my goodness. Yeah, like I said, I just had fun with them. I don't care, man. There is nothing anybody can do right now that's going to change anything. Like, really, there isn't. There is not. Okay, there isn't. It's just going to be a big pile of crap anyway. Oh, yeah. When Biden goes up, by the way, his daughter announces him. And he's like, and then he walked up to her. It was something you had to see. Anyway. So Trump on the other channel. Trump's on the other channel giving a speech. And he said something about, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. You don't know. I mean, you could just be walking down the street trying to get some bread, get raped. You know, you could get raped going to get some bread. I'm like, man. Trump. I turn on one channel, I see a bunch of people wearing cheese and dancing. And now I turn this channel, you're telling me I'm going to get raped eating some bread? What if I want cheese and bread together? USA. Tonight should be interesting. It said Barack's coming on. Barack Obama's coming on. Former President Barack Obama. No, it's the Obamas. It's both of them, okay? So not one. Two. Dos Obamas. Would that be Obama? Obama. Two Obamas? All right. Yeah, there were no I'm like, I read something like you just said it to me. There were no protests when Trump was down there at the Republican convention down in Cleveland. And, you know, if it gets too tough out there in Chicago, just send the hookers. Just send all the hookers. And I really think the hookers did keep the peace. You can't be angry when you're boning. Ashley Biden introduced Joe. Yes, that was lovely. The Bronx. Yes, no protest. Didn't mention the hug. Bicycle wall. Okay. 13 arrests, or 24 arrests, were around nooner of protesters and whatnots. Breaching fences. Oh, yeah. The protesters were breaching the fences that they were keeping people out that they invited there to protest. They were keeping them out. And the protesters threw gas, like, it says OC gas, shot, like, if I had words, what would I say? Basically sprayed a bunch of crap in their face, what I'm saying. So the police that were paid to protect these people, and I promise these will be the first people to call the police, but they are also the first people to mace police so that people will listen to them. If I was in school, I'm just curious, stop me. Did you notice these fuzzies coming around? And I swear, this is Fritzy, the guy, the World War II vet. I know it's not a ghost. I'll say spirit, but it's him. It's Fritzy coming around. He go, what's this? And collect those things all the time. When I watch these videos, I'll see him. I'll see him go across the screen. Because I think I'm only seeing him, but then they're really taped on there. And I'm like, oh, I'm not as crazy as I thought. So, yeah. So, they're spraying. What I'm saying is, I can't go into work. I can't get onto the bus. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go anywhere where I start screaming and holding signs and yelling. And when the people say, no, ma'am, I just decide to mace them. Because you know what? Then they'll listen, won't they? Right? They're really going to settle down and listen once I spray them with some mace. That is how you open the ears. People are like, gee, I think it stings the eyes. I'm like, yeah, sting the eye, open the ear. Sting the eye, open the ear. What are we doing here? We're protesting, right? Anyway, genocidal. They were calling them genocidal, and I will not swear, I'll say bastages. They were calling the police genocidal bastages. Are you kidding me? So, alright. They were referring to it as in 1968. They wanted to do a protest as if it was 1968. If you look up protests from 1968, it's not good, okay? It's really, 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 really bad. In fact, I looked up a lot of it when I was looking up the Million Man March, because it was showing the original march, which was the Martin Luther King March, which I think is 66. So, like, a couple years like that, between, like, what, 62 and 82, it was just insanity. Like, all ever. In fact, no, I'd say even like up into the non-dies. There was like a nice period of time. The 90s were, I can't talk about that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the point is, 14 bomb threats. today, after they had a news conference and said, hey, everybody, it's going to be okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, news crews, please, don't get in between us and the protesters so they don't use you as shields. They should hope they do, because if the protesters are, okay, but then this. It's not just 14 bomb threats, it's to 14 hotels. Not just one hotel 14 times, or 3 hotels 14. No. And they're calling the news to tell the news that they called it a bomb threat. So even if they call the hotel and say, Palestine genocide, and then they're like, yeah, click, and then they're like, oh, boop, 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 boop. News, genocide, and then they're like, what? And then they're like, well, this could be a hoax. It could be just a bunch of crap. You mean because they're crappy people? That's exactly what I mean. But I mean, what do we do? What do we do? I mean, if we let it go and it was a bomb, I mean, well, I guess we gotta call the police. Yeah, we gotta call the police. So think about that. Not only are there police called in from other cities, states, all over the United States, now they need to take the police that are actually there for their Chicago, and those are the police that they're sending to hotels. Okay. Distract much? Do you know what that reminds me of? I said, Criminal Minds. There was a Criminal Minds episode. They got bomb threats. They were going to blow up the hospital, and it was a big deal, and they were evacuating the hospital, and they set off a bomb down the street to also distract from the other people, but what they were really doing was trying to blow up the cops. So if the people would have gone to where the call was, they would have blown up. So it kind of reminds me of something like that. Ain't that fun? Like I said, if those guys come out punching people out, I will not be surprised. And also notice that I did put in the community, like, people holding signs like, make hot dogs, not war. So, yeah, there's a bunch of jerk-offs out there. It's really disgusting, and I really don't like what's happening. They're all yelling about abortion. Here's the thing, man. Just, if you're going to let people do drugs, okay, ruin their lives, be homeless, sitting outside a police station, in a school, in a hospital, and just sitting outside shooting up, then let people get an abortion, okay? Because otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here. I know people who have had 6 crack babies, all different fathers, 6. I said, what? What's wrong with you? What the heck's wrong with you? She goes, girl, don't get me started. I've been asking and asking and asking. I go, you ever hear of a condom? She goes, well. I go, well. I mean, seriously, they're doing drugs. They're having sex for the drugs. So if they don't have money for the drugs, they're not going to have money for the condoms. But I've worked at a gay bar where they give out condoms. If you go to any gay bar anywhere and you want a condom, ask somebody. You'll get one. So it's not even like you can't get them. And if you're going to steal anyway, and you know you do if you're doing drugs, then steal some bloody condoms. That was gross. But steal some condoms. Crying out loud. My outlaw used to call them Jimmies. That old Pollock. Anyway, I think I hit all. Oh, yeah, they're calling news desks. So the K9 units are out too. And police squad cars. And they're calling on places like the Hyatt House and the Ritz. Why are they calling those places? Oh, yeah. It's just because the delegates are there. Oh, okay. It's time for the deets. We're talking about Jon Bennet Ramsey. But before we do, I would like to just say that the other night when I was on What's the Obsession, and I think I was the obsession, I said something about Chris Watts isn't autistic because everybody was like, oh, Chris is autistic. Chris is autistic. No, he's not. Okay, it's obvious he's not. And then I said, well, if anything, it's like Asperger's or something like that. Well, somebody commented, because I went back the next, if I get a comment off of my own comment, I don't see it. I don't know why, but I don't know if that's like the page itself or what, because I've gotten comments that I don't think were meant for me. Like somebody downloaded my stuff and then made a comment on it, but didn't realize it was public or something like that, and it comes back to me. Because I've had comments come back to me that look like they're having a conversation with somebody else, and somehow it shows up on my stuff. So maybe she has it that I don't know what I'm doing. She does. So I went back and I looked, and someone said, listen, don't use that Asperger's. Like, don't say that. Like, that's not correct terminology. You should say that. That's something that the social media or whoever, they made it up. Yeah. Okay. So let's read it real quick. I want to be sure, okay? What are the 5 levels of autism? Autistic disorder, Asperger's disorder, Rett's disorder, childhood disintegrative disorder, pervasive development disorder, not otherwise specified. So it's an NOS, not otherwise specified. You'll see NOS. So that just means, like, I don't know. Why don't you just say you don't know? Okay, so what is level 3 autism? Severe challenges in social communication as well as extremely inflexible behavior. That's kind of like you can't, you remember on that movie, something about Mary? And the guy had the muffs. You can't take off his muffs or else he'll be like, yeah. Like that to me is like severe. What does level 2 look like? Exhibiting repetitive behaviors or displaying intense focus on specific topics. Well, before I try to figure that, look, what's number 1 then? Because that sounds like video games, and it kind of is. Because autism 1 is a struggle with social interaction. So 3 sounds like all of them, like everything else. It's accumulative. But if 2 is like exhibiting repetitive behaviors, intense focus, do you remember, do you remember CSI Las Vegas? And they had a guy kill somebody because the autistic son had a game and he became the best player of all over the world, and the neighbor took credit for it because he knew that the autistic child could never really go out in social situations and enjoy all the success of the fantastic job this kid did, but all he did was play this game. He just stood there and played the game, and this guy stole his deets. So that's those. And then 1 would be struggle with social interaction. So if anything, I would think I would say Watts would be a 1, right? The reason why I'm bringing, is ADHD a type of autism? I was going to ask that. ADHD is not on the autism spectrum. Is there a level 4 autism? Level ranges from 1 to 3. Autism is a spectrum disorder that affects how a person perceives the world. An inner software engineer who sold his company for billions. His mother, the mother, she was a beauty queen, I believe. I want to say, now you know I mess up these deeds. 1997 West Virginia beauty queen pageant. Very beautiful, intelligent woman. For her, she won first place in talent in the Miss America pageant, so that's a big deal. She did a dramatic interpretation of a book called Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Sounds interesting? No, it does not. But it comes in handy later, I'll tell you why. Alright, so what happened was Christmas, the day after Christmas. Now, I have watched on here many times. I've seen people say it happened on the 25th. And I've seen people say it happened on the 26th. How could someone go play with their Christmas presents if this happened on the 25th? Okay, anyway. So, yeah, it's Christmas time. They get up, find out the daughter's gone. Everybody's like, oh, she was stolen. Here's a note. And what happened? Oh, we found her all of a sudden, and she's dead. Within a nutshell. Like, within hours. Like, blah. She was in the house the whole time. Let me tell you something right here. Anytime you got somebody with money, you're never going to find out what really happens anywhere. At all. You won't. You won't find it. They have a 7,000 square foot house at the time. And it had 4 floors. So it had a basement, kitchen, living room area, kids' bedrooms, all the kids. One of Jon's children died from a previous marriage. She had a car accident. She died when she was 22, so there's only 2 left from that marriage. When they come, they got their own rooms. And then Burke, the brother, who's 9, and Jon Benet, who is 6, they have the 3rd floor, and then the parents have the 4th floor. It's huge. And there are huge balconies on the children's floor, in the children's rooms. Also, the children are on either side of the house, and Jon Benet has her own washer and dryer. Her washer and dryer is in cupboards on the 3rd floor where her and her brothers... I'm going to say 3rd floor because I'm going to count the basement. I might as well at this point, let's face it, but... I mean, come on, it's like a hotel, are you kidding me? So anyway, so they find the young lady. She's in a room called a wine cellar with no wine, basically. It was basically like an old crap room where you, like, have to go light, like, the gas. Oh, the blew out the gas. Anyway, I'm going to have some... I live in Youngstown, honey. We always have cotton candy around. And I start talking about this stuff, and I'm just like, hey. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I should be a model. Like a food model. Oh my God. Why is cotton candy crunchy? Oh my God, am I poisoned? Excuse me, moi. So when I see, like when I'm watching it, I mean, you see, I don't know why I said I see. I don't know why I just said that. I started off a sentence wrong. That's what I'm saying. Alright, so when they find her, basically, she's got a garrote around her neck. A garrote is 2 sticks and a cord in between, usually a cord. This is the easiest to handle and the hardest to break. And you could go up from behind somebody and kind of go like this in one of these. And if you turn your arms like this, you get a stronger, you know, like, it's really hard. Unless you're like this, you can't get it off of you. You're never going to get it off of you unless you literally go like this and catch it. your curtains. Queens. So they found her with one of those, with a bunch of her mom's hair in it. A bunch. Like her hair, her mom's hair, and some other hairs. Mysterious hairs. In her pantaloonies, which she was wearing long johns. And I can't hear the word long john without thinking of Wade Wilson now. But yeah. So she had on what they consider long johns, which I would not because they were like this big, but okay. They called them long johns. They looked expensive too. Did you see that waistband? I'm like, ooh, those were like $70, and this was like $96. When was this? Son of a bee. I feel like it was 96. You know, I wrote those deets down. I'm just going to have to run over them and find them. It doesn't matter anyway. It was in the 90s. I'm going to say 96. So, when they found those pantaloons, they had pee on them, which is normal if you're murdered. You tend to not hold it in anymore. And then they found, like, some man stuff, if you know what I mean. So, they found that. The way everything happened was weird. The way everything happened was weird. Remember with the Watts stuff, how we'll watch Shanann do all this, like, my husband this and that, my kids and my wonderful life and la la la. Well, same thing. Same thing. Patty, good old Patty Ramsey. They used to call her, like, was it Denny? I'll run across those deeds. It was a weird... Nettie or something. It was like Nettie was her nickname. Anyway, it's kind of like Kitty. Or Lady Bird. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so she said she come down the stairs and there was like 3 pieces of paper sitting there. She walked past them, turned around, picked them up. She's like, what? And then she runs in. I gotta change this again. It's giving me the headaches. And she like... says, nah, oh my God, calls the police, 911. She's on the phone like, oh my God, you know, like one of those. It almost sounds a little fake to me. This is all my opinion, by the way. Everything I'm saying is my opinion, my speculation. Me. So, she didn't hang up. She thought she hung up. But she didn't. And you could hear the boys say, what'd you find? Alright. So, supposedly they called 911, right? But then they called their friends, 2 families, and a pastor. Like, what? Cop comes. Now, I've watched a lot on this. Some people say this one guy was there, this one policeman was there, this man, and then a woman came later, and then the man left for whatever reason, and blah, blah, blah. But the woman will say, I was the only one there, like these cops. So some say they were there somewhere, but we know for sure the woman was there. Jon Ramsey was with one of his good friends named Fleet White, which you'll find out later. Was very good friends. And they decided to go look for Jon Benet in case she's in the house. The note said, it was 3 pages, and it had all these ridiculous things. And it said, you know, I've got her. I'm going to call between 8 and 10, and, you know, you better have 180,000. Is it 18,000? An S-ton of money, which is his exact amount of his bonus, because he's a bajillionaire. Has 2 planes, 2, not 1, 2, and private planes. That's how rich they are, okay? Like rich. And they call over the friends and a pastor, you know, and they're like, I'm just going to run around and look one more time. Some of the stuff I watched, like the one guy who said it was absolutely them that did this to their daughter and blah, blah, blah. He said that the cops had checked top to bottom and he went to the basement first. Listen, man, don't split hairs that hard. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's just saying. It means you're looking around. He ran straight downstairs. Opens up a door that's always shut. It's locked from the top. Opens it up. Says, I found her. Turns on the light. And goes and gets her. She's covered in her favorite blanket. Her favorite pajamas. Not on her. Just in the blanket. Like on top of her. Her favorite Disney nightgown is just in the blanket. He picks her up and carries her like this. Like by the waist, just carries her like this. Like carries her like a doll up the stairs. Like, you know, rigor mortis has set in. If that's your baby, wouldn't you grab her? Wouldn't you just hug her? Wouldn't you keep her so close to your body? Like, I wouldn't even care if her face bruised my face when I hugged her so tight, because I don't care. I don't get that. If he's trying to preserve anything like DNA or whatever, that would make sense. But he sets her down at the top of the stairs. Then the police woman picks her up and puts her over by the tree. Okay? Now we got 3 people that have been around her. We don't know about Fleet touching her. We know that the dad touched her and now this woman touched her. By the time it's all said and done, they say, do you want to say goodbye to Jon Benet? And they both flip and hug her. Laying on the floor. Just crawl right on top of her. When they get all of the stuff, the DNA, which in the early 90s, DNA was not a big thing, but it kind of was because the O.J. Simpson trial just happened and everybody knew about DNA. Like, everybody was like, DNA, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, it was enough to know. It wasn't like the 70s or anything. It wasn't the 80s. It was the 90s. It was the mid-90s, so everybody knew about DNA by now, especially with the Menendez trials. And this flippity-doo-dah, O.J. Simpson, and all that crap, because they had to prove that he did it, which he never did. And he did. Absolutely, he did. So I'm just going to read you real quick what people say. There are always people who crave the mysteries of the unsolved deaths. All right. Jon Benet was a 6-year-old beauty pageant. We know that. 96. After police call was made, her mother and daughter went... Wait a minute. After the police call was made by her mother that her daughter was missing, 8 hours earlier, Patsy found a ransom note. Did you say 8 hours? The ransom note was for $118,000, which was exactly what his bonus was. The ransom note said a bunch of crazy stuff, like ridiculous things. And I didn't know that anybody thought this at the time when I said it. I've already done one video on this and I took it off because I didn't like the way it was too cash. I was like, I'm too casual. But, I thought those were movie stuff. I'm like, that is from a movie, and a song, and a movie, and what the heck, who's watching all these movies? This is kids. One of the guys said, one of the men, the investigators, he was very serious about it, and he said, listen, you could crawl through that window, step on this suitcase, and get in the house, and then someone was like, well, an adult couldn't do that. He goes, oh yeah, and then he did it. Because they were saying somebody stole them. But nobody stole her. She was in the basement the whole time. But the point is that the letter was really stupid. Like, the ransom note was 3 pages. I'm telling you, these were kids. This is a kid's thing. I've been taking care of kids, like, my whole life. Pretty much my entire life. And this is killing me with kids. Jon Benet had severe SA. not from just this, but from trauma before. So she has been touched for a while. She had scar tissue up in her who, and it's a fact, okay? It's a fact. The medical examiner said, this is not one time, this is many times. Her brother's super duper weird, right? I mean, he's a little different. And the reason why I looked up the autism is because they keep saying he's autistic. He went on Dr. Phil 20 years after this, so, 2006, right? 2016. And he said, he was like, yeah, she died. She's the pineapple. Like, he was super weird. He was still like he was 9 years old. And he was just like super duper creepy. And I'm like, wow, that guy is stoned. Woo! Look at him. He is baked. The way he was smiling, like. And Dr. Phil's real serious. And he's like. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Okay, so. Jon Benet also peed in the bed all the time. And then she quit for like a year and a half, and then it came back again. And they try to like blame it on the cancer. Because her mom had cancer and eventually died after 13 years of struggling with cancer. She died of cancer. The son, he would spread poop on stuff. He'd smear feces on the walls. He did it in the bathroom. He did it a lot. He did it. There's lots and lots and lots of records of him doing that from records or like accounts of him doing that. And then Jon Benet's underwear drawer, her underwear was so stained, like even though it was cleaned and washed and laundered, it still had like streaks on them all over the place. No, kids don't do that. If somebody's like, oh, kids, they pee the bed. No, they don't. Not for 6 years, they don't. And they do not have poop in their bed. They don't. If both of your kids have poop in their bed every night and one of them's 9 and one of them's 6, that's not good. Something's wrong, And everybody likes to blame Burke. I get that, but I think Burke himself something was happening with him. That boy's not right. And this is my opinion. I myself have had things happen to me. I myself tried to do it to my own little cousin. So, yeah, we do that. If it's wrong. It's wrong because it's a secret. But it's supposed to be like your little secret. So you really think, hey, it's wrong because you can't tell your parents. But you do this secret, so you want to do this secret. And then once I was told don't do that anymore, and then it was like, what? It wouldn't surprise me if something's happening with him. And then he started doing that with his sister. The kid next door to their house committed suicide, like a few years later. There were 2 brothers that would come over, the Colby brothers too. So the thing about all this, if the brother did stuff with the sister, that's kind of how it works. And if they would go sneak off together, I'm sure. And I don't think that the parents knew anything about that because they vehemently denied that even could exist. Don't even say that. That's disgusting. Because they didn't know. I don't think they knew. And they ran out from a little window just like that. Same thing. So, a lot of people are like, oh, the window thing's crap, There was a big party the night before. They also went and visited people. They went to this Fleet guy's house. When the shit hits a fan, they send the son. I keep wanting to say Brooke, and it's not Brooke, it's Burke. And I keep wanting to say Brooke, and then I'll stop myself and I'll go, the son. So they sent him off with Fleet, the whites. They sent him with the whites. White is right? They go off with the whites. So they did that. Through the years, they end up hating each other. His best friend, Fleet, who was with them when they found the little girl, said, it's him. And then he was saying, it's him. They did it so much that Fleet wrote a 1,500 word essay and put it in a paper to everybody in Colorado. All right, I'm just going to start reading some deets. Okay, wait a minute. So then I want to tell you something else. So everybody would also say, well, she's pretty sexualized, that little girl sexualized, because she would do pageants. The day before she went missing or was killed, she did a song in a ball. She's like, you know, she's like a little show woman. Somebody asked her, oh, you like the shows, look at all your trophies, la la la. And she's like, no, that's my mom's stuff. That's for my mom. That's really my mom's. Do you know that they used to bleach her hair? They bleached her hair blonde. They bleached it. She was 6 when she left this world. She was 6. When did they start bleaching her hair? Are you serious? She probably wore a flapper too, which I need one, but she probably wore one. That means you need fitted for it and stuff. That's not fun. Are you serious? So wow, bleaching a child's hair like that should be criminal. That's wrong. I don't like that one bit. So one of the guys that grew up with them, he ended up writing for I think this is on Reddit. He said that he was a neighbor and that they would play. And one day he went to go tap her on the shoulder like, you're it. And underneath her shirt was like shoulder pads and a whole gown with a corset. Playing outside. With a gown and a corset underneath her clothes. Woo! Cause of death states Are you serious? Asphyxiation caused by smooth cord found near the body of the crime scene. No, it wasn't found near the body of the crime scene. See, everything I read says something else stupid. The cord was around her neck. Her arms were up like this. Okay? Look at my crazy ass elbows. Oh my God, Mrs. Reed was right. So that means her hands were tied. That means somebody was on her arms then, because you can't, it wouldn't be natural. Even if she could, she would do this. She wouldn't just stay like that. So she was fixed like that. Somebody was holding her down there. The thing that they left was 4 letters. The SBTC. It said victory, SBTC. I think there were a lot of suspects in this, by the way. A lot of suspects. I mean, you could have, the Santa Claus that came the night before, he took like a jar of sparkles to his surgery because Jon Benet loved him so much. His own daughter was abducted. So it's like, what? There's like another guy down the street. First of all, this guy didn't live there. They said that he lived there, 13 houses down. He did not live there. He got mail there. And he said that he did it. And he called somebody that night and said, I just heard a little girl. And he has been busted doing other stuff. And he did write a note and a love note and all this stuff. Obviously, he's pretty obsessed, okay? And there were like 3 other people that are legit possible people. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know who I think it was? They had a housekeeper named Linda. Linda reminds me of Mrs. Watts. Little Cindy Watts-ish. You know why? When they asked her after the baby was gone, she says she was a brat. Who says that about a dead baby? She was a brat? She acted like a brat? You're a brat. What's wrong with you? Oh, is it because you're 60 and cleaning houses? Is that what? Yes, it is. Because it's very demeaning. And it is frustrating taking care of a family that really seriously doesn't care that you're doing everything for them. These people were so rich, okay? They had housekeepers, nannies. They probably had drivers. They had 2 planes. They had They use the dry cleaners for crying out loud. Dry cleaners all the time. I wouldn't even think of dry cleaning. When I was watching all this, I'm like, oh my God, I remember those days. Dry cleaning. Oh, those were good times. Good times. I think that I did think it was the neighbors at first because there's a redheaded neighbor. You know, I'll notice a redhead. There's a redheaded neighbor that killed himself a few years later. The woman who cleaned the house, her husband worked there too. He was their handyman. She had a daughter no one talks about. The daughter was 13 and went and cleaned the house with her too. And she has a stepson who is the son of the man that she's married to. He was like 13 or so, maybe older. 16? He was 16 at the time. What if I always thought it's not Brooke. Damn it. Burke. I always thought he would be kind of like a kid that'd be like, hey, can I play with you? Can I play? He reminds me of that. So if the neighbors next door were like kind of like wayward kids, even though they were all rich, it happens in every society. If the kids next door were kind of jerks and nobody liked them, if you think that kids can't be jerks, you're wrong. Think back of when you were a kid. Were there jerks? Anyway, so I think the kids were jerks. I think he was like a discipline problem. He obviously had a problem communicating with people because he killed himself. I think that Burke would want to be his friend. And I think that Burke would let him in the house. I don't know if he was the Colby brother because I did look it up. And I can't get any information on that. And I don't even remember where I saw the red-headed neighbor kill himself. But I've been watching this for 20, years? How many years? You know, it's coming up 28 years? So yeah, I've been watching it for a long time, and I do remember that because I was like, oh, red-headed guy, oh, he killed himself, that's weird. Now that I find out that the woman who's cleaning the house and absolutely hates everybody, and then brings her daughter to clean too. When you clean homes, man, I used to bring my kids too, but I have my kids play with the other kids. So the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking, I wonder if she brought her kids to work. I wonder if she brought them to work. And then I found out she did. And the daughter's 13. And that the son, they leave him out of it? You don't think the dad wanted to teach his son how to do stuff? Of course he did. He brought him too. Guess who brought out all the Christmas trees out of that room that nobody went into? Linda's family. Linda's family members. That's what they said. They didn't specify the members. Linda's family members. Now, I'm going to tell you something here. If you both work for this Richie Rich couple and you hate their faces because you know they're useless, and Patty was known for doing stuff like taking her clothes off and leaving it everywhere and anywhere. So they weren't respectful. They weren't respectful about anything in my eyes. It sounds like Patty cared a lot about the way things looked, and she didn't spend a lot of time with the kids. And he was checked out completely, if you ask me. And then, I mean, you can't run $1 million, billion-dollar business and still pay attention to your family. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. Especially when you got nannies and housekeepers and, you know, a man hanging around fixing stuff all the time. What are you talking about? Even when they went and interviewed the guy, they had the son who was 16. And they did it 2 years later, by the way, for the daughter. They had everybody checked for fingerprints. They had the daughter check for DNA, and the mother, Linda, the housekeeper, checked for DNA, but not the men. And I always notice, like, isn't it weird that, did they mention if that, you know, semen was pubescent? was it pubescent or was it adult? And I think I saw somewhere along the lines that it was not pubescent, so that would cancel out Burke. But plus, none of his stuff, I mean, his fingerprints are on stuff. Patty's wool sweater and stuff from the night before, her stuff's all in the mix. All of their stuff is mixed in with everything, because there's one thing that is so true with a man like Jon Ramsey. He knows that variables are always at play. So let's just say if Burke did screw up and the shit hit the fan and he killed her and this and that, and they had to cover it up, he's very smart to say, I'm going to hug her, oh, I'm going to lay on her, oh, I'm going to catch her, I'm going to find her, you know, because I'm going to undo the cords, because now he's everywhere. So is she. And the way they read it and the way they were acting, and for years, till her death, the way they acted was like they knew. They knew something. The letter itself said stuff like fat cat and this and that. The reason why it said fat cat is because Jon was in a group of guys called the Atlanta Fat Cats. They were all best friends. That was their own nickname for each other. The only people that would know that is the family, right? Who hangs around all the time? People cleaning and fixing stuff. They're there all the time. Do you know what it's like fixing a toilet, hearing people brag about how rich they are and they're fat cats? It's pretty annoying, isn't it? What's the best way to get back at somebody? So, hey you. Groove is such a sweetheart. They're all sweethearts. So, she did wet the bed all the time. That's true. She did. Some people are like, oh, you know, they banged her head and yeah. No. In 1999, a grand jury was brought together and they all decided to indict Burke, the brother, because they found evidence that those three had something to do with it and they were going to do it. But the DA was friends with Jon Ramsey and said, nope, never mind, we're not doing that. And you know darn well, just like in the Watts case, like if you got friends, nobody's doing anything. Oof. People tell the truth from a different time. I'm going to say this. When I watched Sebastian Rogers' case, when I watched the mom tell stories, like I got him ready for bed, I gave him his medicine, and blah, 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 blah. She's talking like she talks about another time. And I think, like, in her head, that's how she's making it right, because she really is telling the truth. Just not about this time. But she's telling the truth. Not right now. Okay, so also there was a glass out and there was a bowl out with pineapple and stuff. Like, who cares? I know she had pineapple on her belly. I know that stuff. But, you know, kids sneak out. And if her and her brother were doing whatever, they'd probably go get each other. They had their own floor. A neighbor heard across the street a blood-curdling scream, but nobody else in the whole wide world heard it, including the parents, supposedly. And then she said it might just be your essence, or something stupid like that. I'm like, girl. But the poop stuff, that's really, I mean, once I heard about the poop stuff today, I was like, oh my God. So Fleet was supposed to dial. He dialed 3 numbers, hung up the phone. He was supposed to call 911. Dialed 3 numbers, not 911, and hung up the phone. Yelled, somebody call 911. Dad, Jon, says, I'll call him, and then he doesn't. And then, like, however much longer later, like, I don't know, people will say, like, the final number, like, at 1:12, he called the cops. Well, great, but when did it start? Like, when were you actually supposed to call the cops? I don't give a crap. Anyway. There was a black tea bag in the tea of an empty glass, like an empty water, like a tea glass empty with tea bag in it. That would have broke the glass. If anybody tried to make tea in a glass, it would have broke it. If you pour hot water in that glass, it's going to break. If you put that glass in the microwave, it's going to break. So it's going to break. So I could also see like a kid thinking that they're making tea, but the tea bag was sunk to the bottom, even though it was empty. That needed to be in hot water. There's no way that would have sunk like that. It would have been funny. It won't do the same. If you pour out like cold water and you try to put a tea bag in it, it's not going to go down to the bottom. It's not going to absorb the water unless it's been in there a real long time and it has to be warm. All right. So, she was found with duct tape on her mouth that the dad tore off right away, right? Cord around her arms that the dad took off, right? Let me tell you what was found in the housekeeper's house when they searched it. Which, by the way, they thought right away the first person they accused was Linda Huffman, Pugh. Okay, Pugh. Let's see what Pugh had in her house. Three black tapes. 3 black duct tapes. 3. The Ramsey's notepad. Yeah, the same one that the letter was written on. 3 felt pens from the Ramsey's house. Once again, same pen used to write the letters. 1 nylon cord. 1 nylon cord, the same one? Yes, the very same one. And 1 cord tied to a stick. She called off that day and asked for $2,000 the day before. She was supposed to show up on the day that they found the little girl, or on the 24th. Like I said, I can't tell the darn difference. Seems like she's supposed to come the day, but on the 24th or whatever, she called off and she asked for 2,000 bones, and they agreed to work it out. Here, go take the money. So if I clean a house and fix a house, I'm going to know how to get in a house. And maybe they did pull Burke into it because he's real goofy. Like, there's something up with him. I could hear them being like, go get your sister. If the dad was drunk, which he seemed to be drunk in a couple interviews, you would drink if you were sorry about stuff. You'd feel guilty. You get a little sauced. The brother, Mervin was the father, husband of Linda, and Mike was the son-in-law. So they did fingerprints and no DNA for those 2. And they did fingerprints and DNA for the other 2. When you clean homes in that area, you're going to have gloves around. There were no fingerprints. Believe me, there would not be. But that DNA, now that's a different story. The DNA that they found, they have no contributors to. So they already tested all the Ramseys. They tested even the Ramseys, and they tested like the maid and everybody for DNA, but they didn't test these 2 guys for DNA. I just wonder what happened to Mike Pugh right now. I do wonder. I don't think it'll come up. If I was him, I would have changed my name. Yeah, people think, oh, the bathtub, she flipped out because she was peeing the bed and la 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 la. It is aggravating when a child keeps doing it. And they did have her in pull-ups for a while. And then she was like, just let her lay in it. She'll change her mind. She'll think more. So she really, if she was saying stuff like that, she had no idea that the child was being touched by anybody. For sure. But the child definitely was being touched by somebody. Another DNA sample taken in the Jon Benet Ramsey case, the 96th slaying of Christmas. And that was 13-year-old daughter of the Ramsey's former housekeeper, Ariana. January 10th, 99, they tested Ariana. She used to clean the houses with her mom. It's just nuts. Every time I think about this stuff, I get pissed. Like, it's like, come on. Let me see here. Let me just look up this guy one more. What's his name? Mike Pugh? It was a weird spelling, too. Nothing's gonna come up. I don't care. So what do you think? That's what I'm thinking. Absolutely. It does seem crazy that he would have a cord. They had all the stuff. They had the cord, the stick, the the garrote that was found was a paintbrush of Patty's, the mother. She had a paint set. It was in like a little container, and the housekeeper brought it downstairs the night before, or the week before. The housekeeper's family got the Christmas trees out of that room, and then later denied ever knowing that room ever existed, and then later said, oh yeah, we got the trees out. She's a brat. Did your husband get sauced and go rape a child and bring your kids and drag Burke out of bed and decide to drag him downstairs and have him go get his sister and bring her downstairs? Did that happen? Did the mom just happen to have a bowl of something out with her fingerprints on it? Or Burke's? Because I'll tell you what, you're the housekeeper. You know where everything is at all times. I could go into a house once a week and still know where stuff is. And it's not my stuff. I just have to move it around. Now, if I had a woman that constantly threw everything on the ground every single day, and her child was peeing all over the place, and nobody controlled the kids, and you drive your kids around the block and have your daughter hang out doing the pageant wave to all the other kids around the block like you're actually, like, running the show, then yeah. I don't know.